Go.
The last tutorial that I'm going to give you today will show you how to do the box plot with the data from number 121 on page 124. From the previous tutorial, I already put the data in, I already did the 5-number summary, I already figured out what the IQR was, and I already figured out the lower and the upper limits. Okay, you can refer to that tutorial to find out how I did that. Okay, this data that I have on the paper is already in the calculator. Okay, just as a refresher, this data came from problem number 121. We don't have to enter the data back in because it's already in there from the previous example. From the previous example, we calculate the min, the max, Q1, Q2, and Q3. We calculate the IQR to be 6.5. We calculate the lower limit to be 63.75. We calculated the upper limit to be 89.75. Q3 was 80, Q2 was 79, Q1 was 73.5. Now, we can manually do a box plot if I wanted to. Okay, what I would do, and I'll use the calculator to show you what it looks like, we would put a box around Q1, Q2, and Q3. We extend the box to the left and to the right to the lower and the upper limits, and any points that would fall within the box or within the adjacent values would be considered legitimate values. Any data points that fall to the left or to the right of the adjacent values are considered outliers, and technically we could discard them in our statistical analysis because they're too far to the left or too far to the right. Now, we could also do a box plot with a calculator. Like I said before, the data is already in there, so the first thing you need to do is enter the data. It's already in there. To do a box plot, you hit second and the Y equals button, which stands for stat plot. Normally when you do that, you get a dialog box that says plot 1, plot 2, plot 3, and plots off. Generally, all of them are off to begin with. We simply got to turn the first plot on and make it a box plot. To do that, we highlight 1, hit enter. We get a menu. On is blinking, off is selected. Hit enter to select on, arrow down to the type, and select the second selection in the second row. That's your box plot. Hit enter. Everything else changes and we take the defaults. Now what we do is hit zoom 9. This is your box plot. Q1 is and it fits. Q1 is 73.5. Q2 is the middle one, which is 79. Q3 is 80. Notice Q2 and Q3 are closer to each other because the data is close to each other. Okay, the lower limit of 63.75 is to the left here. The upper limit of 89.75 is to the right. Notice the line of the upper limit is much smaller than the line of the lower limit because apparently most of these data points are to the upper end of the box plot. Now we can have any data point that falls between 63.75 and 89.75 and use that for statistical analysis. Any data point that falls to the left of that or to the right of that we would consider outliers and can be discarded from the data set. If you go back to the data set, you notice there is, for example, a 45. 45 would actually end up being somewhere out here. That particular data point we could discard for statistical analysis. It doesn't look like there's anything larger than 89.75. So we look like we're okay with that. There is a 45. There is a 64 is close, but that's still within it. We have a 48 also. That would be considered a potential outline because that would be to the lower left of the lower limit. This concludes how we can do our box plot with a calculator.